Greetings and salutations, you insipid mongrels. It is I, Professor Lunatic, and I welcome you on the next stop of your month-long torture session. I hope you're prepared for some Inkwell insanity.
The Minotaur's my butler, the Cyclops my valet, a centaur tries my chariot that takes me down the way. A river made of fire, through a street that's paved in bones. I got a dozen zombie skeletons to walk me to my throne. In the land of the dead, heck boy ain't it grand. I'm the overlord of the underworld, 'cause I hold horror's hand. In the land of the dead, I'm dark side royalty. I'm far renowned in the underground, and you can't take that away from me. No, you can't take that from me.
Today, I'm going to be guiding you through a particularly horrifying episode of the PBS cartoon Arthur. You may be wondering how exactly a program that's funded by the government and aimed towards preschoolers could possibly be. Well, I think you'll find that some of the most horrifying stories can sometimes come from the most unlikely of places. With that said, let's take a look at Hick or Treat. The episode opens in the bedroom of our anthropomorphic anteater protagonist, Arthur Reed. Arthur is currently rummaging through his closet for something. And when his little sister DW arrives and asks what he's doing, the little snot shoos her away before locking her out of the room. As Arthur pulls an ugly green sweater out of the closet and puts it on, he begins to lecture us about the true spirit of Halloween.
You know how some kids dress up as kitty cats and fairies on Halloween? Well, that's not what Halloween's about. I'll show you what I mean. Trick or treat!
Oh, look. You're so cute.
Wrong! See, on Halloween, you're supposed to look like monsters. You're supposed to scare people. Try again.
While I appreciate Arthur indoctrinating these hapless children into his ways of thinking, I'm not entirely sure that they're going to be able to change out of their costumes within the span of 10 seconds. Okay, hold the phone. There is no way in hell that those kids could have pulled that off. Unless they somehow stole my fabric warping device from me. Why, those no-good scoundrels, I'm going to hunt them down and turn their flesh inside out as soon as I'm done with this review. Arthur congratulates the little hellions, despite how they hardly acted any more scary than they did last time, and fades into the real world to try and demonstrate his point by scaring his sibling with his joke of a costume, which goes over quite well.
Whoa! Is that your idea of scary? What's on your face? Underpants?
And this, dear viewers, is why you should skip wearing a costume altogether and just threaten people with a laser gun, like I do. After the show's titular episode title card, we cut to the outside of Arthur's treehouse, where he and his friends share each other's ideas for the creatures they'll be dressing up as on Halloween. Their ideas are about as lame as you'd expect for kids their age, with Arthur going as a half-dentist, half-Frankenstein hybrid, the tomboyish Francine going as a prom queen, which even Buster questions the creativity of, and Buster himself going as a Hulk-like supervillain he created named Candy Boy. To end our little creative meeting, Brain shares what he's going as, but unlike the rest of his compatriots, his costume idea isn't lame. It's incredibly dumb.
So what's your costume, Brain?
I'm going as the 14th century. This is the castle, and these are the serfs, and here's a village where false beliefs are taking hold.
Blaine, even if you were somehow able to build this monstrosity and people were able to guess what you're dressed up as, I'm not sure you're going to find too many people out there who are scared of medieval architecture.
The 14th century. Don't you get it?
You present your friends with the most esoteric costume idea ever and then act indignant when they don't understand what you're suggesting? God, no wonder Arthur never invites you anywhere.
No hygiene?
Firstly, the idea that people in the Middle Ages were dirty is a common misconception. Medieval peasants weren't the cleanest people around, but they still tried their hardest to maintain a basic sense of hygiene. Secondly, there are people around now who struggle to stay clean. Haven't you ever been to India? Oh, come on, you know I'm right. You all know I'm right.
No movable type?
Really? Of all of the miraculous tools which have been invented over the past 100 years, you're this worked up about movable type?
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity. Farewell.
No science?
Yes, and I suppose we're just going to conveniently forget that devices such as compasses, spectacles, and mechanical clocks, inventions which could only be created through an advanced understanding of science, were regularly used throughout the 13th century. This Blaine character isn't really living up to his name, is he? After that Nobel Prize winning suggestion, we cut back to the Reed household, where Arthur and DW argue with one another about who'll be wearing the scarier costume that Halloween, with the latter hiccuping while she lists off all the things that are more horrifying than a Frankentist.
How about a hairless mouse? Or a dog that walks on its hind legs? Or a roller skate without shoelaces? Or I could be a brown banana. That's scary.
Wow, I never knew that DW was caught up on the Lord of the Amazing Atheist, and now that I do, I have to question why the hell her parents would allow her to view such illicit material. Arthur complains to his mother about his sister's health abnormality, and being the forward-thinking murderer she is, Jane suggests that her daughter suffocate herself.
Okay. Cut it out. That's worse than hiccuping. Oops, sorry.
Don't worry, Mrs. Reed. You'll get her next time. After one of the most unsightly transitions I've seen in a cartoon, we find ourselves at the Elwood Library, where Arthur and his friends are further building upon their Halloween costume ideas. Francine asks Arthur why he's covered in crumbs, and... Wait. Are you serious? This kid didn't bother to change his shirt before he left his house? What kind of Neanderthal is he? Are his parents trying to teach him a lesson about mocking his sister's illness? Are they trying to conserve water by washing their clothes as few times as possible? This kid better have a good explanation for why he's being such a slob.
It's all DW's fault. She's been hiccuping for 2 days, and it's driving me crazy.
Shifting the blame onto somebody else, I see. Such cowardice will be punished with some corporal punishment.
Okay, well, curing hiccups is easy. All you have to do is drink a glass of water upside down.
You mean you have to be upside down when you drink the water? Or you have to hold the glass so it's upside down when you drink?
No, you idiot! That scene is clearly referring to a brand of water known as upside down. How do you not catch that? It's like one of the most popular drinks in Elwood.
Beats me. I've never had the hiccups.
First off, if you didn't know, then why did you offer him the advice? Second off, you've never had the hiccups? That's as big a lie as when Alex said that Spider-Man 3 was a good movie.
Some scientists scientists believe that if you scare someone, you can cause an esophageal contraction, and they'll stop hiccuping.
Ha! Those scientists must be the same jokers who said that the COVID-19 vaccine would stop the spread of the disease entirely.
We cut back to the Reed household, where DW is blissfully viewing an episode of her disgustingly cute and wholesome TV show, Mary Moo Cow, while making a huge mess like the mongrel she is. Arthur tries to sneak up on her and scared her with a loud scream, but ends up tripping on the pencils that he should have seen because they were right in front of his face when he was crawling on the floor, and falls on his ass.
Is that your idea of scary? Ow!
See? Isn't this episode horrifying? It has DW talking smack to her brother, and she's totally in the right. I mean, couldn't Arthur have screamed louder or dangled a fake spider in front of her face or something? You'd think a kid who wants Halloween to be all about scaring people would be a lot better at doing so. DW's like 6 years old. It shouldn't be that hard to frighten her.
DW, isn't there any way you can stop hiccuping?
What a kind and loving father, chastising his brood for a condition that there's no cure for and that she has no control over.
No.
She's tried everything. Holding her breath, drinking water. I don't know what else to do.
Well, you could try to put her up for adoption. There are plenty of mad scientists out there who are in need of test subjects.
Brain told me to scare her, but it only made her hiccups worse.
Did it really? She's been hiccuping at about the same rate that she's been hiccuping for the past 5 minutes.
DW tells Arthur off for trying to scare her, explaining that his attempts to do so haven't worked because he's too Arthur-y to be frightening. She then decides to write down a list of things that scared her in order to help him accomplish his task. But when Arthur looks it over, he finds it nearly impossible to decipher because of how laughably illiterate she is.
Doob bunny? Dark bunny. I've never seen it, but I've heard it's scary.
You mean to tell me that in the years that your brother has been religiously watching this Dark Bunny program that you've never caught a live viewing of it? Why is it that this episode of a cartoon is filled with just as many contrivances as the last one I covered? It's hard to get scared when the story doesn't make any fucking sense, you jackasses!
Octopuses! If one fell in my bath, I don't know what I would do.
Note to self, bring octopi when traveling to Elwood.
This can't be right. Number 3 looks like a cookie. It is. Eating a gingerbread man. Ew.
How is that scary?
They're creepy. Those little raisin eyes and fat legs.
Good news, DW! You and Lord Farquaad would get along swimmingly with each other!
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man!
You're a monster!
I'm not the monster here, you are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world.
Keep reading. Uni. Losing Uni. No! Having to give Uni to the Tibbles! That'd be the scariest thing in the whole wide world!
So here's an interesting question. Why hasn't Arthur given up on trying to cure his sister's hiccups by scaring them out of her when she's already been doing a good job at scaring herself throughout this scene, and yet they haven't gone away yet?
DW, why can't you be scared of normal stuff like aliens and cobwebs?
Well, I guess that's my answer, because the writers want to torture not just Arthur, but the audience. And as we all well know, torture is only fun when you're the one doing it.
Resigning himself to his unimaginably cruel fate, Arthur decides to humor his sister by attempting to scare her with the things on her stupid list, starting with octopi. He has DW take a bath with the idea that he'll jump out at any moment and throw a fake octopus at her. Of course, because she has as many brain cells as she does initials, Arthur has to explain that to her after she shouts that she's ready for the octopus. Once DW is pacified, Arthur waits until she's in the middle of an idiotic song she's singing to come in and fling his fake octopus at her. She freaks out at first, but immediately becomes angry when she realizes how shoddy of a job Arthur did on his prop. Arthur concedes that his craftsmanship is beyond horrendous, and he executes Plan B, which is to have DW watch an episode of Dark Bunny.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. Before we start, do you need your blankie? My blankie bit the dust a long time ago.
I could explain to you cretins the lore behind the running joke that the writers just made there, but I won't.
I tell you, Mary, I have to change my evil ways. But how?
Bah! Any true villain would understand that their immorality is what elevates them above the witless peasants of the world, and would never want to reform.
It's easy to be good, Dark Bunny. Just start by spelling the word good.
I could critique the writers of Mary Moo Cow for teaching this lesson in such a stupid and nonsensical way. On the other hand, they might be writing in such a dim-witted manner in order to convince kids to turn to evil, in which case I salute them for their efforts.
What? This can't be right. Friday on Dark Bunny, Mary Moo Cow pays the bad bunny a visit.
Okay, it is funny how Arthur is scaring himself more often than he's scaring DW, but I just have to ask something. Doesn't he have any VHS tapes of Dark Bunny lying around that presumably don't have Mary Moo Cow in them? I highly doubt that this one crossover is going to make DW immune to how scary the rest of the series is, so why doesn't he just show her another episode of it?
We fade to a shot of a gingerbread man lying on a plate, with the camera then panning out to reveal that Arthur and DW are sitting at what I presume is a bakery booth. The latter asks if the gingerbread man won't be mad that she ate him, and the former assures her that he won't. With her fears reasonably quenched, DW devours the limbs of the sugary treat and begins to freak out when her body reacts negatively to it, attributing it to the gingerbread man being alive and crawling inside her. This panic attack draws the attention of the bakery's other patrons, and Arthur tries to get his sister to sit back down and be quiet by reminding her that she's consuming an inanimate object. His sister rebukes him though, saying that the gingerbread man is coming back up, only to burp directly in her brother's face.
I think we all know what the punishment for that is, don't we? I will never get tired of using those clips.
With all of their other options exhausted, Arthur takes DW to the Tibble household to live out her worst nightmare, which is to hand her prized toy unicorn over to them.
This is Uni, and this is her horse clothes barn, and her schoolhouse, and unicycle, and pedal action convertible.
What the hell are the Tibbles dressed up as?
And don't you dare even touch her, because as soon as I stop hiccuping, I want her back.
Fun fact, this is the last time in this episode that Uni is ever seen or mentioned, meaning that DW never managed to get her back from her nemesis. You may now begin celebrating the fact that she didn't escape this episode completely unscathed.
DW and her brother run away from the Tibbles, who shut the door on them without saying a word. And Arthur remarks on how not scary the interaction was. DW rebukes him by listing off all the things she may never get to do with her toy, only to realize that she stopped hiccuping. Her and her brother celebrate their meager accomplishment, but get interrupted by a passing brain who tells them about some guy named Charles Osborne who had the hiccups for a record 68 years. This leads to DW's hiccups returning, which leads me to the realization that Brain actually is a mastermind. And not only that, but an evil mastermind who deliberately ran into Arthur and DW in order to trick her into hiccuping again. Why would he bother doing something so petty and trivial?
For the same reason that any mastermind would, because he felt like it.
We immediately transition to a nightmare DW has, where an entire stadium of people dressed in weird rubber garments are gathered to watch her break Charles's record.
Can I just say that even in her own dreams, DW never seems to age? What kind of servant of hell did she piss off to be cursed with eternal youth?
If you can continue hiccuping for another 30 seconds, then it'll be officially 69 years since you started, which makes you, let's see, 69...
Old.
Right, very old.
Props to the writers for telling a funny joke.
As the crowd waits with bated breath for DW to break the record, her hiccups stop just before the start of her 69th birthday, and the embarrassed announcer informs the crowd that she wasted their time and money for nothing. Any reasonable crowd of people would angrily start to tear the place up for ripping them off, but these are the same people who thought that dressing up in these odd latex bodysuits was a good idea, so they instead just leave the scene.
Seriously, why the hell are they just like that? Are they characters from Starfield? Heyo!
At least I don't need a Halloween costume this year. I can just go as Hiccup Girl.
That's pretty scary, I have to admit.
No, it's not, and you're an idiot for thinking so.
Why aren't you wearing a costume, DW?
Why are you worried about DW's attire when your husband is wearing a freaking sandwich? A complete breakfast is not my idea of order, you numbskulls.
I am. I'm Hiccup Girl. See?
Don't worry, your hiccups won't last forever.
No. Just 69 years. Give or take a few seconds.
Oh, DW, that's assuming that you'll even live that long.
We cut back to Arthur's room, where Arthur laments to his friends that his obviously terrible costume looks obviously terrible. Francine teases him by saying that he'd come in last place if they were in a costume contest, which is quite an odd remark to make, given that Blaine looks like he put his costume together in 5 minutes, and she seems to have taken the queen part of prom queen a bit too literally. Buster urges his friends to hurry up so that they can go collect candy, and as they all leave the room, we get another pretty good joke.
Buster, are you sure you can see out of that mask?
Sure can.
Oh, ow! Watch it!
Sorry, Brain.
Nothing screams hilarity like endangering the lives of your friends for some cheap, foul confectionaries.
Oh, wonderful costumes, everybody! Hey, what happened to the lights? Oops, my broom unplugged the lamp. Hold on a sec, I have a flashlight.
Okay, 1. Why did Arthur's friends put their costumes on at his place? Wouldn't it be more convenient for them if they put their costumes on at home and then went to his house? 2. How in the hell does unplugging a random lamp lead to all of the lights in the house going off? Mrs. Reed, there are some serious problems with the wiring in your house, and I don't recommend that you get it fixed so that you'll one day be electrocuted to death.
As Arthur walks down the stairs, he frightens DW, who takes cover behind a nearby table and asks what the menacing stranger wants. Arthur tells her off for being either stupid or blind, or possibly both, after which his mother turns the lights back on. Once DW gets a proper look at her brother, we get the third really good joke of the episode.
That is the disgustingest costume I ever saw. You scared me and I'm never talking to you again. Arthur, they're gone. This time the hiccups are really gone. You did it. I did?
A hopeful Arthur takes this as a sign that his costume actually is scary, and so when a trio of trick-or-treaters come to his house to collect some candy, he attempts to frighten them. Unfortunately, the little snots laugh in his face at how ridiculously campy his costume is, and the episode ends with a dejected Arthur suffering a cruel twist of fate.
I knew it was too good to be true.
Let this be a lesson to you, children. Whenever you see somebody struggling with an illness, let them suffer, because trying to help them will only result in you catching their disease. Ugh, who am I kidding? There's nothing that's going to save how boring of an episode this was.
Sheesh, talk about a complete and total letdown. What kind of drugs were the writers smoking that made them think that this was a suitable story to waste their Halloween special on? DW having the hiccups and Arthur trying to scare them out of her in the lamest ways imaginable? What the hell is wrong with these mongoloids? Not only does this episode do very little to tie into the holiday it's representing, but the actual story it tells isn't even all that well written either. The plot is filled with several contrivances, and DW gets away with acting like a spoiled Slavian brat. The only consequence she faces for wasting Arthur's time, money, and public reputation is the loss of her favorite toy. And given how it shows back up in her possession later in the series, that hardly raises the episode's score. Bottom line, only watch this episode if you have nothing better to watch on Halloween.
God damn it! The second episode that I decided to look at for this marathon also ended up being a complete dud. If I'm going to truly put the fear in Alex's repulsive audience, I'm going to have to look at a cartoon that is already horrifying. But which one? Aha! Ladies and gentlemen, tune in on Halloween when I will be taking you to the middle of nowhere. Make sure you bring some kibble.
Minotaur's my butler, Cyclops my valet, a centaur drives my chariot that takes me down the way. A river made of fire, through a stream that's paved in bones. I got a dozen zombie skeletons to walk me to my throne. In the land of the dead, heck boy ain't it grand. I'm the overlord of the underworld, 'cause I hold horror's hand. In the land of the dead, I'm dark side royalty. I'm far renowned in the underground, and you can't take that away from me. No, you can't take that from me.